using water and like flavoring it with all kinds of shit and then saying, this is how I'll put off eating, or this is how I will satisfy this food craving. That is a bad relationship with food.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to say that a beverage should be any kind of good alternative for food, even if it's a food that you consider to be non-nutritious.
Hi, guys, and welcome back to the Thick Thighs Save Lives podcast. I'm Kelsey.
Welcome back, guys. I'm Rachel, and we are going to ruin your joy today. We're taking all the fun out of everything, and we know it. We know it. We just can't help ourselves.
Today, we're here to ruin your joy. Here's the thing. There's a lot of topics where we come in and you guys think we're going to go one way and tear something down. And we totally surprise you. We totally come in on the other end and you're like, oh, it is okay. It's totally fine. And I'm not saying we're going to go the different direction with like nothing is okay because of moderation for all. But, today's probably not one of those days.
So if you are one of my emotional support water bottle gals, have you seen those memes? Here's her. Yep. Yeah. Have you seen those memes where it's like the girl's just carrying like a large barrel? It's like, how big can our emotional water like bottle get? Like it's we go big. We like it big.
Have you seen the like husbands pretending they're their wives with their like giant Stanley? Then they get like trash barrels and they're like, "What? I just say to stay hydrated." Like it kills me. Like I just think it's so oddly accurate. Then one guy had this like he had a trash barrel that he had taped a handle to. It was his Stanley. And then he had like this like small round thing. It was supposed to be a cup holder. And he's like, it just doesn't fit. It doesn't make sense why it doesn't fit.
4 pounds of stuff in a 2-pound bag. No, I like, so there's a thing. There's a hydration craze, and we have to have massive water bottles, and we're bringing them everywhere, sometimes to our detriment, because like there's only so many things that can fit in your hands, and you need to have your lip smack.
Yeah.
And you need to have your keys and your sunglasses.
It's
and
true.
Then there's this giant bottle that is like the size of a small child.
If you're holding another human and you're yours, and then they have theirs now. We've passed it along to the generations.
That's
the
what
kids have their cups too. So then you try to get theirs, and you're like, you gotta hold your own cup. Like
I saw this thing, and it was like this mom, and she was like, when my mom sent me to school, I went with like, a mostly elementary school. I went with a mostly empty backpack and like got the school lunch. And I send my kid as if he is going off to war for 3.5 years. We've got 2 water bottles, a home packed lunch, an extra pair of clothes. Like, but it's so weird because
put undies in there just in case. It's like packing for vacation. It's like, you're going for 5 days, but you pack like 10 pairs of panties. I feel like everyone does this. There's memes about it. It's like, am I going to shit my pants every day? Like, I don't know why I've done this, but it's true. I look at my bag every time and I'm like, why am I planning to shit my pants every day?
I just like to have underwear options. So I can't, but like, can you believe that we used to go to school without a water bottle? Like, it was just like, well,
I really can't, because
it's like 8 hours.
Now I'm saying now you can't even like stop by a friend's house without your water bottle. They have water there.
There's gonna be water everywhere you go. but we need to no, well, we were drinking out of the bubblers, so,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, that was probably not the best.
We're all right.
I
We
mean,
made it all
so
right.
far, so good.
Honestly, there's all these things about kids that grew up in that era too, where like you wanted to come in for water and your parents were like, drink out of the hose.
Just go drink out of the hose. You're not coming in. You're not
Like there's
coming in till dark.
been videos that have been made about this that were like, why were you drinking out of the hose? Like, why what did you have no water inside? And it was like, no, our parents didn't let us come in.
No, the
Like,
door
it
is
wasn't
locked.
like, they were like, "You're outside until it starts to get dark," for me, but, like, you can't come in like, it's not like you can only come in if you're thirsty, like, drink out
Oh,
of the
no.
water
You're not
hose.
coming in at all.
But maybe, thinking back on it, maybe that's why we all have this, millennials have really dove into these water crazes because we were like, "You know what? We were outside with a hose like a donkey."
We
Just
just are so scarred from trying to drink out of a bubbler. Will it hit you directly in the eye, or will it just dribble out so that you almost have to put your whole ass mouth to
Yes.
get, like, a tiny sip? Maybe we're just scarred from all this, and we're like, "You know what? We don't go anywhere without our water bottle because God forbid that happen again." It was a horrible, horrible time to be alive.
Trying to teach a kid how to drink out of a bubbler too is like it's kind of like I get it. You know what I mean? Because you're trying to like hold them to drink out of it, and it's coming at all different, and then you're trying to like gauge where it's not gonna totally squirt them in the face, and you're like, let's just try later. This is a losing battle.
I got your Stanley, babe. Don't worry. We didn't leave the house without it. So, all right. So, on this hydration craze, which I think, by the way, is fantastic because I love the fact that people have easy access to water all the time. And,
People have been
unlike,
invested in your personal water journey as well and have wanted updates on it.
you know, I'm out here doing my best. Some days are
Different
better than
phases.
others. Some days are better than others. I will say that like when you came to visit, you took my water bottle every day, which a small thing like that, I will just be like, oh shit,
Camel.
I haven't drank in 3 days. My God. So
You just stole my water bottle. I'm at home.
I know. I know. I
Like,
have
how am I going
others.
to get water?
I have others. It's just that one is usually the one. So if it's gone, like,
I totally
but
get
like
that. Mine's
that's
the same.
how I know. But my habit is not cemented yet. That's how unsteady the habit is. That if like someone takes up the water bottle, then I might not drink. I may or may not. I don't know. But I feel really happy about the hydration craze. Because I think like it's a great reminder. It's like the bottles are a reminder. Yeah, you could go to your friend's house and and then of course they're going to have water there, but are you reminded to like ask for a glass, or that's my main problem, is that I don't feel thirsty, and I've trained myself to not feel thirsty because I'm dehydrated 90% of the time. And so like I need like a physical reminder. So I love it. But of course, the internet has found a new way to drink water. And we're going to talk about it today. It's hashtag Watertok, which has racked up over 220 million views on TikTok. And it has created a whole entire set of influencers who are the Watertok masters, and they're formulating daily recipes for your water. And it's pretty wild. If you get stuck in a Watertok algorithm, my God, good luck getting out.
Yeah. I just want to applaud the entrepreneurs for taking advantage of this craze. because taking any of these weird things, honestly, I think like weird things for me personally that hit the internet, and I'm like, what the hell are we doing out here? And what, just kind of like, not that it's like so weird to add things to water, but just like, why is this so big, kind of a thing, is where I get a little bit more caught up. I'm like, why is this a major topic? And if it's trickled its way into a health and fitness or a habit, and it has over 200 million views, we got to talk about it.
We got to talk about it. And, one of the things that I think is interesting about this trend, obviously, is like people love concoctions. They
Me
love,
too.
I've, I've loved this since like a young age, like go in the woods, make this, mix with this, mix with this, and this. Like I didn't eat it, but like it's a fun thing to sort of like make this concoction. It's like a potion. And Watertok is basically that as an adult,
Mm.
because what people are doing is they're using Watertok as their hydration, and they are basically making a water recipe that has things like sugar-free syrups, flavor packets, Mios. Like you have to see these setups. Like they have entire walk-in closets dedicated. They have the flavor packets, like all color coordinated. It's wild. And I also get why that's oddly satisfying, because like if I ever walk into like a color coordinated closet of anything, I'm just like, I just start drooling. It's weird. I'm like, oh God, this is embarrassing, because it's very appealing. Makes you want, well, I want one too.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Those are very appealing. I don't have the personality where I'm particularly drawn to those things.
Oh,
um,
lucky
I
you.
kind of skip over them just because I'm like, man, that looks like a lot of work for drinking water.
You- have you have you met your sink at all?
I know.
They put a couple of them in your house. I don't know. It seems like a
I
lot
don't
of
know.
work.
I'm like, I'm on the move.
I gotta blow dry my hair and shit. Like,
Can't even manage that and get it braided over here.
well, I definitely understand it, and I definitely
Totally.
get the appeal. I mean, the recipes are released by these influencers daily, and they get wild, and they have super cool names like unicorn cotton candy water. I mean,
I mean, who could
unicorn
turn down
anything.
that sales pitch?
So I'm saying orange mermaid water. They were getting so popular that one of the influencers was like, this is so fun, but people want to see, she was making it like in a Stanley. And she was like, but people want to see like what color it comes out to. Cause sometimes like the colors are like ombre and like just cool stuff. And she ended up getting like a clear water, like a clear tumbler,
Mm.
so that she could show her followers like what the colors were. And it was sold out on Amazon within like 30 minutes of her releasing her video, because like everybody, all the water talkers were like, I need a clear tumbler too. And it's like a whole thing.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a craze. It's a
It's a craze.
craze, and it's gotten a lot of traction. But we do need to talk about, like, how did it start? What do we think about it? The good, the bad, the ugly. And just, I'm gonna always say this with some of these like fads, because I'm openly anti-fad diet for since the moment we started this podcast. But anything that goes like super hard and is just like consuming more of your thought process or day than you'd like a general habit to be, all I'm saying is throw caution flags towards that. Because like anytime you go super hot on something, like, is it sustainable? Is it balance? You know what I'm saying? Like, how much of this are we willing to allocate our brain power towards?
I'm here for that.
for me, I'm like, I gotta get some meatballs in the crock pot.
My God. Like,
15
literally,
other things.
I have
I
to
just have to
eat
drink the water.
3 times a day, and now I have to work. I have to get fitness in, and now I have to make water concoctions. Good God. Um, I mean, the idea isn't new
Yeah.
because
Fusion, like, it's
I
been
mean,
here.
you
People have been putting the
remember wh
fruit in the water. Like, I went to a friend's house this past weekend, and because, like, obviously, like, I'm not drinking due to growing another human, but she was like, "Oh, I
you're not
have."
drinking alcohol.
I'm not drinking alcohol, I'm drinking plenty of water. But she said, like, "Oh, I have this, like, I have cucumber water for you because," like, which I thought was, like, super nice and, like, super thoughtful because, sometimes, like, it can get boring when, no matter what, everyone else is, always, having a drink or having a beverage, and then you're just kinda like,
Cheers, girl.
cheers, like, here we are. But I was like, oh, that's nice, like, if it's a cucumber or like the mint. But we have been doing this for a while, the like putting all of the fruit in and getting like fruit infused water has definitely been a thing. And we have had the packets that have come, or the drops, the neo drops, for everyone. When it started coming out that you should definitely be drinking water. I don't know if that was ever not out, but like, we started to focus on it, and a lot of people said, "Well, I don't enjoy drinking water. I can't drink water." And we are going to talk about some different variations to that, and my thoughts and Rachel's thoughts on, the can't drink water, and we need to add a bunch of flavor to everything. We need to enhance everything. I just want to really, like, as we talk about this, like, guys, like, we really need to be careful about the number of things that we feel like we need to enhance in order to be able to, like, consume them or to be able to, like, live. It has to be better, it has to be brighter, it has to be redder, it has to be cotton candy water. Like, we just have, like, I would just love to just be careful with how much stimulation we feel like we constantly need.
I couldn't agree more with that. Um, Also, I think I just wanna say how difficult it is in a world where we are constantly being peddled. Drinks are hot right now. Beverages
Yeah.
are hot. Like, when you drive by a Starbucks, like, seeing the amount of just, like, dessert drinks with drizzles and like whipped cream and these or the refreshers with the like, it's
Well, they make
these
everything look so fun, and it's the same thing
it's
with the
so
snacks, like,
fun.
at the end of, you can, sometimes, like, as adults, like, if we have enough habits or practice in place, we become a little bit numb to it. But I think, like, you especially see it when you see, like, a child react to some of those things, because, like, when you have to go through the candy aisles and stuff, you're like, I've been through these aisles so many times, like, I wouldn't even notice that at the end of Home Depot you have to walk through the candy aisles. And it's like, why? I'm at freaking Home Depot. This isn't even a food store. And now, like, and now do we have to have a fight about Cheetos? Like, because it's just, they seem very exciting. The drinks are very exciting. All of the marketing behind a lot of these things are colorful and exciting, and they really draw your eye, and there's reason for that.
There's definitely a reason for that, and the idea treats are hot right now too.
Treats are hot. Yeah.
Treats are hot, and a
Treat
lot of
chocolate.
people yeah, a lot of people are getting their treat in the form of a beverage, and
Mhm.
so I think that this just, like, is so obvious that this would happen with water because, it's sort of like this, weird diet culture mentality of get a treat, but, like, don't get the actual treat itself. Just, like, don't get the
True.
calories of it, just get the flavoring of it. And so, I want to talk a little bit of
Don't eat one. It's the same thing with, like, like a birthday party. Don't eat a piece of cake or birthday cake at the birthday party, but you can have birthday cake protein every day, 7 days a week. It's like, Well, I just am kind of
Hold
I'm
on.
feeling weird about this exchange here. Like, oh no, but I don't do the birthday card. It's like what one every couple months. Like what?
I mean, we can't talk about this trend without talking about diet culture because, like, not ever in the history of this podcast are we going to say that it is okay to replace a food with a beverage. Beverages are not food.
Yeah.
Water is not food. It should never be used as a substitution for food. It should never be used. I think it's toxic diet culture to even use it as to meet the same flavor profile as a food, like as a tricking method for your body. Oh, instead of eating birthday cake, I'll drink birthday cake flavored water. That's toxic diet culture. I'm never going to say that that is okay with me. As far as like mindset goes around food and water and how we're using those things.
Mm.
But, you know, one of the things that I found really interesting when I was researching this topic, because I thought a lot of these creators have hashtag weight loss, hashtag fitness, hashtag, all of these sort of health. A lot of people are following them for health reasons. And what I found was a really interesting thing in a commonality in these creators and influencers is that a significant amount of them have had weight loss surgery.
Mm.
And they have reported that after having weight loss surgery, they were experiencing extreme water nausea, which is basically they the taste of water, the way water sat in their stomach, the whole experience of drinking clean water was literally nauseating to them, and in many cases, like upsetting to their stomach. And I did a little research on this, and it is in fact a very common phenomenon with weight loss surgery patients to experience this. And there's many reasons. Doctors have theories on why, but one includes the fact that the sleeve, especially making the stomach smaller, throws off the amount of acid in the stomach and makes it more of a base. And when you add like alkaline, like water, to that, it throws it off even more. And that is one of the signals for your body to be nauseous. So,
So I had a question with that just as you were talking, and I don't know the answer to this, so just throwing it out there. If it's an acidic issue within your stomach, use replacing with these water alternatives. Does that solve the acidity problem? Because it seems like once it gets in your stomach, it would still essentially have the same like.
So I'm not sure about the adding of the like citrus sort of flavors and how that changes the acidity of the water. But I do know that most weight loss surgeons who speak to patients having this problem do recommend flavoring the water because it makes it more palatable. So it's like
Mm.
it's not, I
So it's
don't
not
think it's,
necessarily the digestion or
no.
absorption part, it's actually just the taste
I think
part.
that the main thing with water nausea is just that the taste and the way it sits is just sort of, it's literally nauseating. And so making it more acceptable to your taste buds is going to like signal less to your body to like send it up or make you or signal the nausea, the
For sure,
nauseous.
if you like something or enjoy it, um, you have a rather than trying to just like suck it down, you have a higher likelihood of being able to keep it down.
Right.
So that definitely makes sense. But I was just wondering if they had solved any of the issues with the part of the absorption that seemed to actually be struggling with the imbalance. in the stomach.
That's not
Um,
my understanding, but I
but that
do
makes sense.
know that also, one of the reasons that someone could experience water nausea is also a pre-existing dehydration. And a
Mhm.
lot of weight loss surgeons caution people against this because their stomach is much smaller. It can hold much less volume. And therefore, they have to drink small amounts more frequently. And if you haven't previously been doing that, you could very easily get into a dehydrated state. And not a great feature of our body is that when you are dehydrated to a certain degree, water is nauseating to you,
Yeah.
which is like,
I
come
know.
on,
Yeah.
body.
Yeah. I mean, anyone who has experienced this with that kind of like sloshy feeling too, and
Yes.
you have gone too long without drinking any water, then you just like pound a whole bunch, and then you're like, okay, but now I feel like this like sloshy mess.
Yeah, I mean, I have not undergone any weight loss surgery and I have experienced like the slosh and like, ugh, this is like, doesn't feel good to me, which is probably me being dehydrated. And like any kind of electrolyte imbalance can also lead to dehydration. And we know that electrolytes are being absorbed in less in not the same amounts as they were pre-surgery for many of these people. So, it's definitely a thing that there is a certain amount of the population that may be intolerant to plain water. And that's sort of, it seems, where a lot of these influencers started.
Yeah, finding an alternative to just get the hydration in, because like something that I do want to say when it comes to drinking water is that you got to drink water.
I
For
know.
every aspect of your health, you got to drink water. So
I know.
if these alternatives have been a way that you have found that you can't, the only way you can drink water, or the only way you can drink enough water certain times during the day, that you're supplementing some of those, then go for it. You know what works for you, what feels better for you. I would rather have you, hydrated than, a dehydration headache and just feeling overall gross. Because
I
when
mean,
you're not drinking water, like you do feel gross.
it's wild, like, the amount. I mean, obviously, we know, like, a significant portion of our body is actually water, which is one of the reasons why we don't tell people to judge weight loss or fitness on a scale. Um, but when I started looking into, hydration and the importance of hydration down to a cellular level, it's so wild. And I get why people, anyone who's researched this in any way would be like, this is absolutely essential. And I don't want to knock any trends that push the fact that water is essential to your body. The amount of things that it does in the body, it's just wild. One of the first things I ask people when they're like, "Oh my god, remember when we did that episode on like digestion and we were talking to an expert about like, how much you're like constipation, like a lot of people suffer with that.
Yeah.
And one of the main things that's suggested over and over for constipation is like, are you drinking enough water? And I think that it's an overlooked aspect
Water.
of the whole. I mean, think about it. It's gotta be like a slip and slide.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think there are so many things, like, in your gut that are going on that people don't really attribute to water that are going on, like,
And the
literally.
helping absorption of other nutrients. So when you start to talk about like absorption of proteins, when you start to talk about how we're going to metabolize energy, like you need water to do literally all of these things. So you could be meeting your like protein goals, but if your body's not absorbing them, what's the fucking point?
What's the fucking point? You're just wasting a lot of money and a lot of time on those, calculating your macros and making sure that it's all perfect and none of it's getting or not enough of it's getting absorbed because you're dehydrated as shit, Rachel. Um, Not only that, but like, hey, you know what? Like, if your joints are hurting, or you have any ligament pain, or you're like real tin man in the morning, you need to look at your water intake for sure. The amount of lubrication that it provides for it's just like a basic shock absorber.
Well, that's a
And
lot of the reason why you are feeling stiffer in the morning is because like you wake up dehydrated. So anyone who is like on a typical sleep pattern is fasting essentially during the night, and you're not hydrating. I mean, you might get up in at some point in the night. I always have water next to my bed, but like that's you sometimes you wake up and it's an emergency. Like I don't know, I have this fear of not having water next to my bed, so it's
so
always
true.
because, like, I could go to the kitchen, like, it's
It's
not
right
like I
there.
walk 8 miles, so, like, it's not that serious, but I just, like, always fill it up. It's part of a habit. Fill it up before you go to bed, you take it upstairs. It's a habit that's been built. Usually, it goes untouched.
We dump it out, we pour the next night's water.
It's just like and honestly, like the girl from Signs, it's like I don't I don't use old water. Like, no, that's yesterday's water. You
Ew.
need to get me another water.
I'm like drinking yesterday's water. What do I look
It's
like, a
old.
Neanderthal? I saw this thing on Amazon that I've been wanting to buy, but I haven't pulled the trigger on it. But it's like a bedside water filler. So like
You should definitely.
I know. So it's like it sits on your nightstand, and I guess you connect it to like a water jug, like you could do like a 5 pound one. I guess you got to put that in like like I don't know, decorative basket or something. And it's got this cord, so it goes up and around the back of your nightstand. So it just sits there real pretty, and you just put your cup under it, and it fills you with water. Right
Alright, so some other people have this need to have their water next to their bed, and their
bedside.
kitchen is so far away. I
No,
do
but
get
you
the
know
like,
how it
you don't
is.
wanna
If
wake
you
up.
get
You
up,
don't wanna get up,
yeah.
wake up. Like,
Mhm.
you gotta turn on
That's
lights to get there, or else you could fall over anyone along the way,
it's
and then
true.
the whole house is up.
Great. Starting our day at 2 a.m. because I was thirsty, but that's also a way to, like, not drink yesterday's water. It's like you could just have an empty cup, and then you have that filler, and then you just like, if you wake up, you put it underneath there and fill it instead of having am I boring you?
No, that's a good idea.
Alright.
I think that's a really good idea for those
Okay.
water drinkers. But what I was gonna say is like how you feel a little bit stiffer in the morning is because like you're not super hydrated in the morning. That's why it's very important to drink water in the morning. A lot of us turn to just coffee. Those who have been working on some of our habits turn to coffee and water.
Just add, don't subtract,
Yes,
add.
add, like, and there's so many, there's a lot of science about, like, drinking a full glass of water when you first wake up, and if you're someone who takes vitamins in the morning, that has been, um, a really great reminder. I had historically not taken anything in the morning, but when I started taking prenatal vitamins, I was, like, taking it's like you take it at the same time to make sure you don't miss it. And then I'm like, well, you might as well drink a full glass of water while you're here and start the day off right. But
Well,
for your
again,
sleep and everything, get it going.
on that nutrient and absorption, taking a vitamin without having enough hydration is like, well, you're just gonna pee all that out.
Yeah,
It's a
like
waste of money.
what are we doing here? We don't want to just throw it in. We want to absorb it.
All right, so we've sold you on the benefits of water.
I know that
Eh.
wasn't our intention, but we really did.
Yeah, but I think it's important reminders because I think it makes this make a lot more sense where you're like, why are people doing this crazy thing? And then you're like, okay, wait, they want to get more water. And this is a way to make it fun and tasty, and you get to do your concoctions, and it's all overall super entertaining. But oh, wah, wah. I'm gonna ruin the fun of the Watertok. Watertok's so fun, except I'm gonna ruin it. Listen, anything that you're doing every day, you need to have a hard look at, right? Like
Sure.
things that you're doing intermittently have a lot more leeway as far as like
Isn't
health
that like
goes.
the idea behind a treat though? Like
Sis, you can have a treat every day. Is it really a treat?
it's more just like a habit. It's just like if we're talking about it being like a treat, like do we have treats every day? I'm not saying you don't deserve treats every day.
No, you do.
You
You do.
absolutely do. I'm just wondering what the standard is here.
Well, I mean, usually the definition of a treat is something that you don't get every day. I mean, that's why it's a quote unquote treat. But the ingredients in anything that you're consuming on a daily basis have to come under a massive microscope because of the daily intake of it, right? Not because we're constantly saying, "Oh my god, if this has artificial sweeteners in it, I'm never going to put that in my body." No, I mean, that's not going to first of all, that's not even possible because you go to we go places and we ingest things that maybe are not ideal, right? But like every day
Yeah.
is a big deal. And that's why we have to look at daily habits and say, like, me personally, I'm like, okay, my toothpaste is something that I'm really, really careful about. I don't just go out and buy any toothpaste because I do this 2 times a day. And I want to make sure that I know and I feel comfortable with what I'm absorbing in my mouth 2 times a day because it's a daily thing. And I think it's the same thing with water and adding any flavors or packets or whatever, because obviously these are being pushed in the sugar-free, which just means artificial sweeteners. That's not it. Sugar-free is not a thing when it comes to it tastes like cotton candy. It's just an artificial sweetener instead. And then, the no calorie way too, because we want to drink cotton candy, but we want to do it without any calories.
The old the old calorie battle. We're back here again with the artificial sweeteners and the calories, and it just is this like warped sense of reality because when we look at sweeteners versus artificial sweeteners or like zero sugar versus the different type of sugar that we're putting in, it's just a play on words. Like you're not actually getting zero like sweetener in there. You're getting the sweetener unless you're actually just drinking the water.
We're interrupting this podcast to tell you about the coolest leggings that have ever been on the planet ever. And if you are going to try to crush this new year, you need them. Why are you laughing?
You sounded like that kid. Have you ever had a dream where have you ever tried the best leggings and then they are sweat proof?
No, it's so true. Sweat proof, squat proof. They are so freaking comfortable and they have pockets. If you're listening to this podcast and you're not currently wearing our leggings, I gotta tell you, you are missing the boat, sis.
You're missing the boat. And the thing is, most people don't know as they start to get new leggings that not all leggings are created equal.
Ooh.
And you don't know that your leggings are see-through until you've been wearing them for a month at the gym and someone gets up the courage to tell you that they've been seeing through. Our leggings never see through, completely squat proof, sweat proof, and they stay up while you're working out. So grab a pair for this new year at constantlyvariedgear.com.
Artificial sweeteners. We've spoke to you guys about these before.
Yeah.
Moderation is okay.
For sure.
Something that you're doing every day, you need to be more careful.
Here's the thing,
Um,
moderation for artificial sweeteners, for sugar, for your sugar alternative, like, it's all the same.
all the same.
Like, babe, it's all the same. Like, if you wanna have your cookie, your cookie, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's really all the same. Like, it's just comes down to the point of, like, let's just not fool ourselves. Let's be aware and in control of the things that we are putting into our bodies, and just completely aware of it, and not just trying to fool ourselves or being fooled by any type of marketing. Let's just go into it with open eyes and saying, like, you know what, I am having a treat or whatever it is today. I'm going to eat cotton candy, and like have no shame around that, so that we don't have to fool ourselves during the rest of the 365 days of the year into thinking that we're not having those things, but we know that we need them, so we might as well put them in water. I,
I oh
I feel
man,
like
that
it's just
just
feeding
gets
the
it.
same diet culture.
That's what it's really all about, is just I just want people to knowingly say, like, this is my decision and this is what I'm doing, and not
And
say,
I'm behind you with it.
and I'm behind you, whatever you choose. But I don't want anyone to be fooled by the fact that one person eating a sugar-free cookie and another person eating a regular cookie, that one is making a more healthy choice than the other. That's just not a fact. That is marketing, and that is only taking health in a vacuum of that sugar is some kind of enemy or fat is some kind of enemy. If I'm eating fat-free sour cream or regular sour cream, there is no healthier version. It's different, and it has different benefits and different risks. Now, when it comes to artificial sweeteners, the breakdown here
I just
is
had
not
this battle with
happening.
chickpea pasta. That's the only reason why I started like giggling. And then, like, shortly after, that particular pasta came out to have so many more additives. Like, they did an open study, and I was just like, this is why I said don't come near me with that chickpea pasta. I want my thick spaghetti.
Give me the wheat. Um,
Keep your chickpea pasta over there.
you you keep it. Tastes like shit, anyways. Um, so our bodies, in many cases, do not break down these artificial sweeteners. And that is why there is so much new information coming out about how they travel through the gut and how they affect your gut biome. And with so much of the population sort of suffering under these undiagnosed or even misunderstood IBS,
Yeah.
IBD, like all of these gut issues, and how important we now know gut balance is, this should be a red flag for sure. If anything you're taking in on a daily basis is changing your gut biome, because those kind of things, that throwing off that balance of the good to bad bacteria, we know this from like taking antibiotics, and you take a probiotic after you go on an antibiotic, because you don't want to throw off that very delicate balance of bacteria, because it can make you very sick. And artificial sweeteners have been shown over and over in these studies to interrupt that bacteria balance. And one other thing that I found super interesting was that there are new studies coming out that the artificial sweeteners also lead to glucose intolerance and insulin resistance. And those are both conditions of being pre-diabetic.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that we're wanting to not take in sugar because we've decided that that's not good for us and it could lead to something like diabetes, but that the artificial sweeteners are actually linked more to glucose intolerance and insulin resistance than sugar itself.
Yeah. That's a great point. I'm glad you brought up the good and bad bacteria too, because I think it's very important that everyone realizes that, our gut bacteria or when we're taking something like, oh, I need to have a probiotic after I go on an antibiotic, just recognizing that some people are more, they're not all the same. This isn't universal for everyone. Just like you are more prone to this type of getting these type of colds, or things like that, where you're like, no, that's kind of like my thing. And you could be around 10 people and you're the only one who comes out with that type of cold. You're just more susceptible to something like that. And it's the same thing with the bacteria, the amount of bacteria that you have in your body, good and bad, and how that balance looks. And that's why we have some things, like some people benefit from a probiotic, some people don't, because we have different levels within our body. And when we ingest these things, that's going to affect those levels very individually. So when you have something that affects your bacteria in that way, some people may see, an adverse reaction just based on what the baseline is they're working with. And some people don't. That doesn't mean it's not necessarily there underlining you're not developing some of these other conditions, but you may not have the same symptoms, because we're not all working with this cookie cutter body. Even though we're kind of going, well, we all have the same organs, right? That's not how it works. Just look around, like with your eyes, you can see everyone has a different body. We absorb things very differently. Our nutrient levels are so different, what we need, how we absorb it, and historically how we have been able to absorb those types of foods, and just our levels of bacteria within our body. Like, it's all so different and individualized that getting this cookie cutter, this is the solution for everyone, is never going to work.
Especially when it comes to gut health. That
Yes.
couldn't
I
be
mean,
more
gut health
relevant.
is so trivial. Like, it comes down to, we've talked about how trauma affects your gut health and absorption of food. It's like
Stress.
stress, trauma, these have nothing to do with your genetics. They have everything to do, and nothing to do with necessarily like your environment or how you're ingesting your environment, but your experience within your environment.
It doesn't
Like,
even
that takes
it
it
doesn't
to
even
another
have to do
level.
with what's going in your mouth, because
Yeah.
obviously it's like, well, my stomach just reacts to what's going on, what's coming in my mouth, and then what's coming out my butt. That's the only thing that is being and so if I change that, then I change my gut health, and it's like, even that is, we're
Yeah.
just, it's wild.
Mhm. Yeah. I recently had a friend who was telling me, she's like, "Well, every time I'm trying to go out or do something fun, my stomach acts up." And it's so weird because like I won't eat anything different, and I'm like, uh-huh. Are we hearing the same thing? Or like, the anxiety around the activity is causing your body to react in this type of way, which is making your stomach react in a specific type of way that has nothing to do with anything that was changed from the consumption of what went in your mouth, which I know is really frustrating and difficult for a lot of people to think about, but it's the reality of the situation. Which is why, if you go to any of your doctors and you're just talking to them about like what are the symptoms based on like what you are consuming, like, it just doesn't make any sense, because that's not how it works.
Oh man, I just one more shout out to all the people who are experiencing issues with their stomach right now,
Yeah,
or digestive issues, or it's
so
such a
hard.
long hard road. And I have a lot of people around me who have very severe symptoms
Mm.
and are always looking for something. And I just want to say that, like, I hear you, I love you.
They're like, I've
If
tried eliminations, I've tried meditation. They're like, I'm trying so many different things to try to figure this out. I know it is so frustrating.
It's so frustrating, but, just that reminder of, the importance of the balance in your gut and the biome is like, look at it. Look at what you're doing every day. Look at the amount of artificial sweeteners you could be taking in, because that might be just one more thing that you could try to see if you can get yourself back into balance. And I just want to end with the fact that we are never trying to drink flavored water as a weight loss tool. because we are avoiding food with the immense amount of flavor that we're adding to something like water. Full stop. I don't care. You can come at me about like but make it fun. Well, fun colors, and I'll stand with you on that if that's what you need. But I'm never going to support using water and like flavoring it with all kinds of shit and then saying, and this is how I'll put off eating, or this is how I will satisfy this food craving. For me, that is so toxic. That is a
Yeah.
bad relationship with food. And I'm never going to say that a beverage should be any kind of good alternative for food, even if it's a food that you consider to be non nutritious.
Yeah. Honestly, it's a great point and a great thing to end with. So I don't want to take anything away from that, because I think that a lot of our listeners who are listening to who are tuning into this podcast understand that historically they've had a poor relationship with food, and it will rear its ugly head in any way possible. New trends are a great way for that to kind of show itself. It just kind of pulls back the blanket and peels on some of the underlying things that we still have going on and that we're
It
still
tests you.
working through. It tests you every time because it's this new, it's crave. Maybe we've done something different with technology where like everything's better now, and I'm not going to have all of these cravings because I will replace it with water that tastes like cotton candy. It's just, it definitely tests you. And I think at any time that that is happening, I think you need to look at what that habit looks like for you. What are you looking to gain from it? And do you like the path that you're on? If you're on the path of saying like, yeah, I want to replace all of my water with flavored cotton candy water, and you think it through and say like, this is the best path for me, I am going to support you, because whatever the best path is for you, I'm going to support. If you are someone who has historically had difficulty with water and you're using it as a stepping stone to drink more water, I think that's great. I think that's a really good way to work in more water. Maybe you're using like, one of those packets or one of your kind of like treat waters, and then you're having like plain water during the day. I don't know. However, you're working it out that feels comfortable for you, maybe that's the trick for you. It's different for everyone, but I just don't want you to go into it blind with all of these influencers with their hashtag weight loss or any of these other kind of like toxic diet culture language that is only going to feed into the harm that's already been done.
Oh, that's so well said. That is so well said. And that is why we addressed this topic today, because on the surface, it looks like fun, colorful waters. And beneath that, we want to make sure that none of you guys who have struggled in these areas are getting sort of bamboozled and having those behaviors rear their ugly heads when you've worked so hard to let yourself know that you are deserving of food no matter what it is, no matter what time of day it is, no matter if you just finished eating, you're always deserving of food. And we don't ever need to replace that ever.
Ever. Ever.
We just need to eat food because otherwise we die. And that's no fun. So
Fun.
I
Or
heard
you
it's
just
no
go
fun.
around feeling like shit and snapping at people because you're hangry. And
Come
that's
on.
a
We don't
real,
want that for
and we don't
you.
want that. We want you to feel energized. We want you to feel like you're firing on all cylinders and to live your best, happiest, healthiest life. And that's what we're going to continue to talk to you guys about. So we hope you have an amazing week. We love you so much.
Sip your water.